this idea that college football is going to lose something so crucial because of tradition, there's no tradition anymore. Tradition has fallen to the wayside. Everything is changing so fast. Right. And guess what? The sport is more popular than ever, making more money than ever. And there's no sign, even with these changes, yeah, it stinks for fans, certain fans, but overall, the sport's just going to print money and be more successful. And I think all this realignment, I think teams are going to land where they, not necessarily where they belong, but I think it's going to work out because I think you're going to see more moves that sort of even it out.
Well, it's going to become more like the haves and the have-nots. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, but there's almost all haves. I mean, the Big Ten has 18 teams. How many halves do you want?
Well, but here's the thing that I'm bummed about, and especially for the Pac-12, some of those teams that now we have Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah all going to the Big 12, but who knows what the future of the Big 12 is really going to be. And obviously you had Colorado obviously joining the Big 12 also. And now with Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten.
Well, there's no tradition. Colorado's not a Pac-12 team. No. Traditionally, Utah's not a Pac-12 team. So there's no tradition there.
No. What I'm saying is basically some teams end up getting totally screwed because you had two bad conference commissioners in a row. And, that stinks for the Oregon States and for the Cals and Stanfords and Washington State because some of the schools ended up in a way better spot. And some ended up in a way worse spot. And so just because the Big Ten commissioners happen to be better, more stable than, lower teams in the Big Ten, Northwestern, Rutgers, whatever, whoever you want to insert in there, now they get to basically be one of the haves, even though they may not have earned it either. It's just because there was bad leadership at the top. Some of these teams get totally screwed, and that stinks.
What do Cal and Stanford need this for at all? What difference does it make to Stanford in the big picture, whether have and have-nots? Maybe they won't be a football powerhouse.
Media rights deals, lots of money from TV.
Stanford, do you think they could care less about that? That means that's Stanford is the Harvard of anything except Harvard. It is probably the second best college in the entire country. They dominate every sport except football. There's no reason that Stanford should have a 10-win football team, and I'm not surprised they don't anymore. Why are they good at football?
Why shouldn't they? They had Andrew Luck and they had David Shaw, and they were winning 10 games. They had Jim Harbaugh, they were winning 10 games.
Because they don't care about football, and neither does Cal even cares. Cal cares even less about football.
Okay, but here's the thing. I could have plucked a student from Stanford who probably could have gotten a better deal for the Pac-12 than whatever the leadership got. You have all these smart kids and smart students and theoretically smart people, and they made these dumb moves. It's dumb, and now they're paying the price, and it's a shame.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think it ignores the inevitability of what was really happening in college football, which is all the power was getting focused on two conferences. I mean, it wasn't going to be it wasn't going to be 5 even conference. There was no Big Five anymore. Pac-12, even if they'd kept USC and UCLA, it wasn't going to be in the Big Five. It was SEC and Big Ten are starting to completely dominate with the ACC hanging on for dear life. I don't think
Big
about
12. They just had a team in the championship game last year.
You're saying the Big 12 was going to compete with the powerful SEC and Big Ten moving forward?
I think they deserve to have automatic bids and stuff like that.
Why?
Because I don't think it's bad football. It's really offensive and innovative football. It's not bad.
Well, I mean, but what's the team? I mean, if they had anybody who's even sniffed a title besides, Kansas State.
TCU last year was literally in the championship game.
Yeah, I mean,
they got destroyed in the championship game, but they beat Michigan on the way.
They were really good, but generally, though, once Oklahoma and Texas leave, you're not going to have a lot of real contenders there. I mean, real powerhouses.
Okay, well, irony here is that Texas gets all this love. Meanwhile, they haven't sniffed a national championship. They're not even sending people to the pros. Barely. I mean, that might change now. They go to the SEC, but...
I mean, look at the Big 12. I mean, UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, Texas Tech... This sounds like the Mountain West Southern version. This is not SEC. This is not Alabama, Georgia.
Well, there's only one of those.
Yeah, and then now there's two of them because there's the Big Ten who's getting all these powerful teams too.
Okay, but just like the Big Ten is, it's top heavy, where you have Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, basically,
and USC.
And now,
and
next
Washington
year,
and
USC.
Oregon.
Okay. And then you have the SEC where you have some that are, it's a little bit more evenly dispersed, but you still have some of the bottom feeders there.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. And you're right. The Pac-12 screwed this up royally. But in the long run, in 5 years, is college football going to be better or worse than it is now?
It depends on who you ask, because I think if you were just looking at, did certain schools really cash in and get a payday, then you'll say, okay, better. But if you're asking about teams and schools who lost regional rivalries and lost something there, then I think people would say worse.
That's been happening for 25 years.
I know, but Perloff, that doesn't mean people have to like it.
Well,
it
yeah,
doesn't
but
mean
college
people
football
have to sign off just because something that no fan asked for, which is conference realignment, all of a sudden became this huge land grab, money grab.
It absolutely is, but the truth is college football will persevere and be more popular than ever.
Well,
Once
the
a playoff comes, yeah, the whole sport will be. I'm telling you, ratings are going to go up on a week-to-week basis. I firmly believe that because there are going to be better matchups. You're going to have more top 10 teams playing each other, which now rarely happens.
This is from Pete Thamel, of course, ESPN college football senior writer. Says, according to sources, in the next 24 hours, there's 2 calls for the ACC to vet and have exploratory discussions about adding Cal and Stanford. So one of the calls is for the ACC athletic directors, the others for the league's president and chancellors. Thamel says it's fluid for the 4 leftover Pac-12 schools. There's a myriad of options being discussed, and this is one of them. I mean, an Atlantic Pacific Conference? Sure, why the hell not? I mean, it doesn't matter anyway anymore, right? Regional rivalries, throw them out the window, so you might as well have Cal and Stanford be part of the ACC.
Yeah, I'm curious too. What does Florida State say to this? Do they use this somehow? I don't know how it works. Can they use this as a catapult to get out?
I don't know how they would use this to get out. If you're adding schools.
You add schools, I guess that implies that you're changing the charter or something. I mean, Florida State, obviously, last week, remember, it seems these stories are coming so fast and furious. Florida State wants out. So, I don't know. I feel like adding
Florida State wants out if they don't get more money, right?
Yeah, but they probably kind of want out, too. They just got J.P. Morgan on board. They probably want to be with the big boys.
So, I think what the interesting thing about this is that, so the next 24 hours, there's calls for the ACC to vet Cal and Stanford, according to Thamel. Do you want to make a bet that they're in the ACC by the end of the week?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say by Wednesday, but you might need a few more lawyers. It's the middle of the summer.
When I think about Atlantic Coast, I think Cal Stanford.
Sure. Yeah. Sun never sets on the ACC.
Oh, yeah.
What I would
Perfect.
say.
The one thing, though, it kind of weakens the ACC. Cal is not great, and Stanford's been on a downswing with David Shaw. So I don't know if you're trying to get a title contender out of the ACC. Does this do anything for you?
I mean,
it's great for Olympic sports.
Yeah, everything else.
Yeah, it's great for everything else. Swimming, they're going to be great.
This will be the conference for swimming, water polo, volleyball.
Sorry, I know we got to get this call, but can we all agree? You know what we really should be doing is separating football from all those other sports so those athletes don't have to travel. That is the number one thing that we should be doing because it's crazy. You covered volleyball a little bit.
Yep.
Like, do you need to fly a volleyball team from Washington to Purdue?
No, you do not. And listen, they have their NCAA tournament, so that's when you play, a few more random schools and stuff like that. No, of course you don't have to do that. 855-212-4CBS. Sean is our pal in Oregon. Up first here on Maggie and Perloff. Hey, Sean, how are you?
Well, I've been better.
What's got you down?
Sad. Well, we're seeing all these regional rivalries going to go to the wayside.
Yep.
And college is regional. I'm not going to sit here and whine about people traveling. I mean, pro teams, baseball teams, they travel. Basketball teams travel everywhere. We don't complain about them. We all got start times 7 o'clock West Coast. Nobody complains about them watching the Blazer games at 10 o'clock at night. We don't really care about anybody back there. We all came out here generations ago. We detest that style. We detest the East Coast. We ain't ever going back there. We ain't going back to watch games or anything else. And I'm just bummed out. We're just totally bummed out. And, the snakes all turned on each other. The schools got into the sporting business, and then the snakes turned on each other.
Well, everyone's worried, Sean. Everyone's worried about being left out of these big money deals. And thank you so much for the call. And I get where Sean's coming from, but everyone's worried that, the TV networks now run college football. and they're worried, like just like the 4 remaining teams in the Pac-12, they don't want to be without a deal.
You know, it's funny. I still, to this day, I have no idea where that money even goes. When I hear $100 million, I don't know. I know when an NFL team makes $100 million, the owner gets it. Like, what does this money even mean? What is J.P. Morgan getting into Florida State, which hasn't passed yet, by the way? But I don't understand, like, why does you mentioned Cal or Stanford needs that money for what? Does it go to academics? No one even knows.
No, I thought it goes to the athletic department. Isn't this what funds everything in the athletic department? College football, they say, generally funds, or sometimes college basketball, will fund a lot of the other teams.
But I think some goes to academics.
The non-revenue generating sports, right?
I think if you make $100 million off your football program, I think some goes to academics.
I never thought that, but maybe. I thought academics is kind of on their own with, tuition.
So who cares about funding the other teams? Like, why let them fund themselves?
Well, that's the thing. They're non-revenue generating teams.
Then why
they go away?
Yeah, like
the tennis teams and rowing teams.
The tennis team and the rowing team are the 2 richest sports in America. Have alumni fund those.
I know, but I think you're saying that, but I think
that's how it works in the Ivies. There's no money for a rowing team.
Okay, but not the Ivies are operating under a totally different
Anybody
model.
who has a rowing team is operating under the same model.
It's not necessarily true.
Rowing, yes. Rowing is there's no funds for rowing in athletic departments.
No, that's what I'm saying. The football team pays usually for rowing and tennis and lacrosse and all those other sports.
Oh my God. Tennis, lacrosse. What, we got to get golf and polo with horses in there?
Okay, well,
who cares?
Well, what other sport? So you want only football to be football?
Sports that fund themselves or sports that get alumni donations. No, I don't think football. I've never thought this. I don't think a linebacker for UCLA should be going out there and getting concussions so some rich kid can get his son on the water polo team for free. It's insane.
Okay,
it's always been an insane system.
Okay, so what about men's basketball? What about the ones who don't make who are either right on the cusp or not revenue generating?
Well, basketball is the other revenue generator, though. That generates a ton of revenue, the NCAA tournament.
And what about the women's basketball?
That has some revenue, too. The NCAA tournament is starting to generate some money there.
Okay, but not every program is going to be money-making.
So, wait, you think football – I've always thought it was unfair. That the football, I think the players should get paid. I don't think they should be supporting – other athletic programs.
Totally different conversation, though.
Well, how is it? When a Dr. Pepper ad goes on, a player is putting his life on the line, basically, for that Dr. Pepper ad, and that money goes to other programs. I don't think the football players are signing up for that. I don't think they care about those other teams.
Okay, but you realize that right now the schools don't pay the players. So in the future, when the schools, if they ever do pay the players, then we can talk about that. Well, but that's not how it works right now.
NIL kind of does now because it's become a booster program.
Sure. That's now.
Right. And that booster money, also presumably helps with other sports. Like if you're
That's why you have a collective, quote unquote.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the whole system is crazy. Like with this money, I've always thought, okay, there's so much talk about money in college sports, and what is it really? Do people really know that it's funding these other programs, and that's why it's so important?
I mean, I think generally people did know that, but I thought generally people did know that football mostly funds the athletic department in many, many cases.
Yeah, I think a lot of the money goes to these old guys who run the bowl games. I think a lot of goes to administrators. A lot goes to coaches. I think there's a lot of this money I don't think it's nearly as clear as that.
Well, the coaches and the money they get paid with these buyouts sometimes is just insane. I mean, to pay $20 million or something for a coach to go away is always crazy to me.
It's sickening.
Paul is in Denver, has got a thought on this. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. So you guys, we were talking about how football definitely stands alone, but these other teams, volleyball, swimming, whatever they would be, having to travel across country, one of the people are going to be hurt too is really like the fans, and not just the fans, but the parents that, have to travel with these kids or want to see their kids play. And now it's maybe, the West Coast they were traveling, but now they got to go back to New Jersey to go see them play against Rutgers.
Oh, it's crazy. It's totally, the family, the friends, anyone who wants to come watch them. Yeah, when it's regional rivalries, maybe you just get in the car and have to drive 3 or 4 hours, but to fly across the country is crazy.
And same with the students, too.
Yeah.
The students want to go see, if it's Colorado playing, TSU, no problems. If it's, Nebraska, but now they're not going to go down to go, all the way back to Ann Arbor to go see it. So it takes the fan out of the kids out of the game, too.
Paul, it's a great point. Thanks for making it. Appreciate it. Have a nice day. Yeah, all of it. And, definitely the schools can't help with any of the parents traveling.
No.
That's a major no-no. 855-212-4CBS and has been. 855-212-4227. All right, so more up in the air with conference realignment. Let us know what you think. Phone lines are open at 855-212-4CBS. You can watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. The chat is wondering why you're wearing a Kevin Garnett sweatshirt today, Perloff. Is it Kevin Garnett?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool sweatshirt.
There you go. There's your answer, America.
Was there supposed to be, were they expecting like his birthday? That would have made sense.
Oh, is it Kevin Garnett's birthday?
He's not the best color guy in the business for nothing.
So we've got a lot more to do.